Hello everyone, and yes, as the title suggests, that is exactly what happened. Imagine you're playing chess in a bar and all of a sudden a world champion walks in, in this case that being Magnus Carlsen. This is exactly what happened, I believe, yesterday, as Wissam Thing from the EPFL Chess Club sent me an email, and he sent me 2 Reddit posts with the recordings of the games that they played. Magnus played 2 games, maybe he played more, but 2 of them were recorded, and well, I decided to show at least one of them. If you guys will enjoy this one, we can show the other one as well. So they were playing in a university, the Swiss Institute of Technology of Lausanne, the EPFL, which is in Switzerland. And well, like I said, Magnus just walks in the bar, and here we have a very nice game against FIDE master Niels Willems, and it's actually a wonderful game and a very a very instructive one. So hope you guys will enjoy this. And how many times were you playing chess in a bar and okay, the world champion didn't walk through the front door, but if you played in a library, or if they played in a library, they would never get a chance to play the world champion. So never underestimate the power of playing chess in a bar. Now, that being said, let's check out this game. So Willems has the white pieces, and he opens with c4. He goes for the English opening. We have c6 by Magnus, knight to c3, d5, e3, and knight to f6. So these are the opening moves. I don't know if this is the exact order in which they were played, as there is a video of this game. So as you can see, I will only show you a very short clip, so you can see that the game actually is being recorded from this position.
Oh, bravo, bravo.
There we have it. So just to get into the mood of the game, they're using a smartphone as a chess clock, and it's either very quick blitz, I imagine a 3+0, or maybe even a 2+0. It could also very well be bullet 1+0, but I don't think it is. I think it's more a 2+0 or a 3+0. So consider the little b on the robot either from blitz or maybe a bulletish blitz. So let's now continue, as I think this was the order in which the moves were played, but now we have the rest of the moves. So knight to f3, we have g6, b3, preparing to fianchetto to the dark square bishop, and of course Magnus puts his bishop on this diagonal as well to counter Willems' dark square bishop. So bishop to b2, Magnus castles, we have bishop to e2 and bishop to g4. Willems castles, and now e6. So Magnus developed the light square bishop, and now he has put all of his pawns on light squares, which means that once this bishop is attacked, he's going to trade it for knight, and he will have a dark square bishop and all of his pawns on light squares, which is very nice. So h3, we have bishop captures on f3, bishop captures, and now knight b to d7, continuing development, and white just strikes in the center with the d4, and this is also very good for white. So here we have rook to e8, and now comes a move that has never been played before. So this position exists in a database. Queen to c2 is a known move, but after e4, it is as of move 12 that we have a completely new game. So Magnus captures on e4, we have knight captures on e4, knight captures, bishop captures, and now Magnus strikes in the center with e5. Now, like I said, this is very quick chess. Maybe f5 first would have been a slight improvement after the bishop moves, then we can push e5, and now white doesn't really have all that much time to push the pawn to d5 because e4 is also coming. So maybe it would be a bit trickier, but okay, Magnus of course knows what he's doing. We have e5, and now white has a choice to make. Does he advance with d5 and play very sharply and go for something more than a drawish position, or does he play rook to e1 like he did in the game? Now d5 is very double-edged, and I will just show, for example, knight f6, we go after the bishop, rook e1, we can defend. Now black will grab a bit more space here. For example, f5 attacks the rook will go back, and now after captures, maybe something like this position would arise, where white would have the isolated d pawn, which is also a pass pawn, and it's a trade-off basically. But in the game, rook to e1 was played, and this allows Magnus to jump right into the game. So he goes e captures on d4, no longer allowing the pawn to advance. We have bishop captures on d4, bishop captures, queen captures, and now comes knight to f6. He offers a queen trade, and now we know that we are going into the endgame. Queen captures on d8, we have rook a captures on d8, and now bishop to f3, offering further trades. Magnus happily trades, rook captures on e1, rook captures on e1, and here Magnus plays king to f8. And this is the position that I enjoy the most from the entire game. Imagine you had this position, you are white here, what do you play? Just, give it your best, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on trying to play this game in a true spirit in which the end games should be played. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is king to f1. I know some of you guys wanted to play b4 right away, which is also fine, but king to f1 is the absolute best. And we are going to discuss why, because it's very, very important. It's basically the move that shifts the game in Carlsen's favor. Basically, in the game, Willems played rook to d1. Now, okay, this is a bullet or a blitz or a bulletish blitz game, so of course you don't have time to study the position. If the situation was otherwise, I have no doubt that he would have played king to f1. But after rook to d1, which was played in the game, there is a big problem. Here, imagine if king to f1 was played. Now, of course, we are going into the endgame. You know that the rook can be placed on d1 at any time. The bishop covers the d1 square, so we can either win the d file or force a rook trade. So king to f1, we want to get our king as far into the position as possible. And now the black king cannot improve his position because the rook controls the e file, and this would be a slight improvement, but a huge one actually, because now, for example, rook d2, white has no problems, just rook e2. And if you trade, okay, we bring the king closer in the game. If you play rook d1 check, rook e1, of course, again, you offer a rook trade. And here, if you finally trade, king captures on e1. Now Magnus will play something like king e7. And look at this. The black king and the white king both occupy the e file, which is good for both of them, as they want to... of course, you have to bring your king as deep into the position as possible. The king in the endgame is the most powerful piece. However, after this king to f8, rook to d1 was played. It seems like, okay, you're offering a rook trade, and then you're going to start bringing your king into the game. But it's much, much different. And remember that when we ended that line, that both the white king and the black king occupied the e file. But here in the game, Magnus captures very happily on d1, bishop captures on d1, and now, okay, Magnus could go king e7 right away, but he goes for knight to e4 first. He wants to go for this knight c3, attack the bishop and win the a2 pawn. So bishop to c2 attacking the knight, now knight c3 attacking the a2 pawn, and now a4. And now Magnus plays king to e7. And now all of a sudden you can see that the black king is on e7 and the white king is on g1. So it's white's move, king to f1. But both kings are not on the e file, so this is much, much better for black. And of course, this is a king and pawn endgame with both players having a minor piece, white having the bishop, black having the knight. One tempo is huge in such situations. So Magnus goes king to d6. Look at that, a black king already on d6. And now white has to make a choice. Does he allow king to c5, or maybe he tries something else? So here, probably best would be to play something like f5, take away these squares from the black king, but still the black king is coming into the position. King f2, king d4, and now after king f3, we're going to play knight to a2, put a king on c3, kick away that bishop, and we're going to start winning material on the queen side. So it's not much better, but okay, b4 was played, taking away some very important squares from Carlsen's king, but now Magnus just plays c5, and here you can see that black is really undermining that pawn structure. If you capture, of course, then the black king just comes to b4 and gobbles up everything. Or if you play b5, as it was played in the game, now those pawns are gonna remain there on light squares, and well, it's a good thing that you can defend them with your bishop. It also means that you will not be able to move your bishop through them all that much, as you only have the light squares. So king e5, we have king to e1, now comes king to d4. Already you are attacking the c4 pawn, bishop b3 defending. Now This is a very sad bishop. It's almost like a pawn. And now knight to e4. Now Magnus is going to win this pawn, and there is nothing Willems can do about this. We have f3 chasing away the knight. Now comes knight to d6. And if you've seen the beginning of the video that I've shown them actually playing, and I will put both links to both games in the description below, so you can check out the entire games being played in real time. They were playing extremely fast, but here, after Magnus saw that he will definitely win the pawn, and that means of course that he will win the game, he started playing very slowly and very calmly. He was almost like he enjoyed placing the pieces on every square. So I really suggest you watch the video. So here king to d2 was played. Now Magnus just wins the pawn. Finally, the white king gets to the same file as the black king, but now it comes at the price of a pawn. So if you trade minor pieces, then of course the king and pawn endgame is winning. Black is up a pawn. So here king e2 was played. Now comes knight to d6. We have king back to d2. Now comes c4. Bishop has to go back. Now comes b6. We are now going to put all of our pawns on dark squares, and then we are going to exploit this weakness, and then we're going to go after these pawns. It's going to be impossible for white to defend everything. So here we have h4, h6, g5, g4, g5. We have h captures and g5. H captures, Magnus making sure that his pawns are of course on dark squares. Bishop to h7, and now even f6. You don't have to play this, but it just shows that white has absolutely nothing to do here anymore. So bishop to g8, now comes c3 with check, king to c2, and knight to c4. The knight is now coming to d2, and you will have problems defending the f3 pawn. Bishop to h7 was played, now comes knight to d2, and it was in this position on move 41 that Niels Willems resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is you will lose the f3 pawn, and even if you, for those of you who are maybe new to chess who want to see how this might play out, for example, bishop f5, we're going to win one more pawn. The one extra pawn was winning in this position. Two extra pawns are just crushing, and of course nothing is stopping us from winning these pawns as well. So whatever white plays, as white really has nothing to do. All of the pawns are in dark squares. He has a light square bishop. There are no moves here. Let's say knight h2, we go after the pawn. White can defend it. Now we go knight to f1, threaten this check to trade for the knight for the bishop. If bishop to c8, trying to avoid this, still knight to e3 check, king to c1, and now king to c4. King to b1, let's say now we're going to play king to b4, and now we're going to gobble up these pawns. Of course, the pawn and the knight are stopping the white king from advancing. There is nothing white can do here. So really an instructive game, and it really shows that, well, not only did Willems play a great game, but what it takes to, just having a great position, and you can just continue playing and you would enjoy the game. But this slight imprecision of going rook to d1 right away, instead of first grabbing a tempo for yourself with king to f1, as this would prevent black from grabbing further tempi. That's basically what decided this game. So really just a very enjoyable and instructive endgame, where this king to f1, just a beautiful move, whereas rook to d1, as you've seen, allows Magnus to just get that king up the board too quickly for white to follow. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, check out the links in the description below, where you can watch both of the games being played in real time. And moral of the story, I guess, would be to never underestimate playing chess in a bar, as you never know when the world champion might drop in. Once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank George Elgin, David Kimura, Kevin Strange, James the Whip Romano, and William Manuel for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, such as this one, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.